Hi, it's Ted Ritzer, host of the Greening Government Webinar Speaker Series. That series is a collaboration between my department, Alberta Environment and Parks, the Alberta Climate Change Office, and the Municipal Climate Change Action Center. All of our presentations are stored in our partner's YouTube channel, which you can find by searching for MCCAC. The format of the presentations are 40 minutes presentation by our speaker, followed by up to a maximum of 20 minutes Q&A through a Q&A online chat window that you can find by hovering your mouse. Today, we're really fortunate to have a speaker who combines it all, actually. Breece Robertson with the Trust for Public Lands combines. Obviously, she's a wonderful technologist and award-winning expert in ESRI GIS technology, but also, for our benefit, expert in conservation and the idea of looking at green spaces and conservation lands as something that helps contribute and respond to climate change. So today, it's just wonderful that Breece has been able to join us and present into our series on how we can use technology, GIS and ESRI technology, and look at the use of green spaces within cities and park agencies to help in our efforts to respond to climate change. So thanks so much, Breece, for agreeing to do this. And with that note, I'll turn it over to Breece.
Okay, thanks, Ted. Hey, everybody out there virtually. I am located in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in the States, and I work for an organization called the Trust for Public Land. And today I'm going to talk about, as the slide indicates here, how we're using GIS and technology to help cities make smarter decisions around their park systems and also around climate resiliency. So I've got some of my contact information there, so feel free to jot that down, or Ted can send that to you if you need that at a later time. So I wanted to just give you a quick overview of the Trust for Public Land. We're a national conservation organization. We work in every state in America, and this is our mission statement. We create parks and protect lands for people, ensuring healthy, livable communities for generations to come. And we achieve this mission through our 4 best-in-class service areas. Plan, this is the division that I direct at the Trust for Public Land. We have a group of planners and GIS technologists that help communities identify what they care about, what they want to protect, and where they want parks to go. We have a fund department, so those are men and women who have a great track record of either creating funding through ballot measures. People actually vote to tax themselves for their park systems, or trying to hold on to federal funding or create new federal funding to actually protect parks and open spaces. We have a protect staff, so those are the men and women out there doing really innovative and creative land transaction deals. And we also have a create staff. Those are landscape architects and park designers and developers that work with communities through a participatory design process to make sure that the right features in the park is going to serve the community in the way that they hope that it will. This is where we've done the most, in the darker greens, the most planning and conservation finance or funding work around the country. And this is where we've done all of our protect work, so protecting open spaces and creating parks. And we've created over 5,500 parks and open spaces around the country. And we've actually used GIS to map all those down to the tax parcel level. So now we know exactly where these places are, and that helps us to run more analytics on these places that we've conserved and to start looking at tracking metrics across time. At the Trust for Public Land, the way we use GIS in particular has really created a paradigm shift for the whole organization. We're really enabling our organization to be strategic, really being strategic about where we do the work that we do and tell the story about that through maps, through story maps, and then also measuring both our impacts and the impacts of our partners over time. And we couldn't do this without GIS. So I'm going to focus on 3 programs and initiatives that leverage GIS to support our mission. And we do a lot more than this, and I can talk about that at some other time. But today I'm going to focus on Park Score, Park Serve, and our ClimateSmart Cities work. Park Score, some of you might have heard about this before, but we just released the 6th year, or version 6.0 of Park Score just yesterday. And what it does is it rates the park systems of the 100 largest cities in the country. There's a website, so there's the URL there. You can go to parkscore.tpl.org. And this is the methodology that we use. So we look at acreage, facilities and investment, and access. Acreage and facilities and investments comes from another database that's a survey-based database that the Trust for Public Land does with those 100 largest cities annually. The access piece is GIS based. So that's where we're using ESRI's network analyst, their business analyst database, and other tools to create that 10-minute walkable service area, looking at opportunities for access, barriers to access. Most of you probably know about that extension, but it's a great extension to use to create a walkable network around any feature. And with the release of Park Score, these are 2 maps. Minneapolis, Minnesota ranked #1 this year, and Indianapolis ranked towards the end at number 98. So what you're looking at here is every place you see in that darker green color, those are publicly accessible parks. The light green areas are those 10-minute walkable service areas that are combined. So everything in light green is basically served by a park within a 10-minute walk. And then the reds and the oranges that you see there, those are the areas that are not served by a park or open spaces, and red indicates where you have the highest combination of population density, low-income households, and kids under 18. So you can see in Indianapolis, there's a lot of bright red and oranges, and so there's a lot of work to be done to create more parks and better access to parks. And we also have created some tools that can help park planners understand what the impacts of parks in certain locations would be. So this is our Park Evaluator tool. And what this allows you to do is to zoom into one of those bright red areas of need, sketch a park, and place access points. Click a button. It runs our park access model in the background and returns the 10-minute walkable service area that you see here in blue, and also a set of statistics. So you can see how many people you're currently serving with this new park scenario, how many new people would you serve, and get improvements across a bunch of different demographic characteristics. So park planners can use this tool to really understand if they put a park in a certain location, what are their impacts going to be? That's more of a scenario analysis type tool. But we've also created a model called the Park Optimizer that actually pinpoints in the city where you would have the biggest impact. So we all know we have limited resources, limited dollars for creating new parks and open spaces. We want to know where we're going to have the biggest impact with multiple benefits. So like a 10-minute walk to what? That is one of the questions that we frequently ask. So they can hone in on these areas and then explore within those areas where new parks should go. And in this example in Houston, Texas, 5 parks in these locations could serve up to 34,000 new people. So really optimizing our impacts. And a couple of quick stories. We're working in a smaller town in Washington State called East Wenatchee, and we partnered with a health clinic there. This bright red area that you see here, the health clinic's located right in the middle of that area. And it is a neighborhood that has a lot of health problems, a lot of obesity, diabetes, and obviously not great access to parks and open spaces. So we sited a park right across the street from that health clinic, and I just clicked a button. You should have seen the light green show up there. We're now serving almost 3,200 people within a 10-minute walk of this park. And we're working with that health clinic to program that park, and also to create a park prescription program where the health clinic and doctors can write a prescription for kids and adults to go get 5 days, 20 minutes a day of vigorous activity in this park. And so that's a great success story. And then we also have a 10-minute walk campaign that we're running nationally. And we're working with mayors across the country, cities big and small, and asking them to make a pledge. So we know by using these GIS tools where they stand with the percent served within that 10-minute walk right now. Like in Chattanooga right now, Chattanooga residents are only 35% served within a 10-minute walk of parks and open spaces. But mayors have been asking us, well, what's it gonna take? How many more parks do I need? And so we're using GIS tools to, again, create some scenarios. So if you watch the bottom of your screen there, if you put one park in that location, Chattanooga would bump up their percent served to 37%, add 10 parks in these locations up to 41%, and 25 parks, you can get up to 49%. So of course, this is just theoretical. These are theoretical 4-acre parks. You oftentimes can serve more people with a linear park or a greenway or a trail in dense areas. But this can help us and mayors and city park systems understand, what would it take to bump up that percent served, and then also attach those ballot measure numbers to these parks. So if we know a park costs $500,000 to create or $1 million to create, we can use this to figure out what those ballot measures should look like. And we're taking Park Score to scale, so through this project called conserve. So if any of you are coming to the ESRI conference in San Diego, we'll have a kiosk on this in the map gallery area. But we're taking that 10-minute walk to scale for 14,000 of the 19,000 cities and towns across America. And we have collected or created park data for over 10,000 of those cities and towns to date. So we're getting really close. We're gonna have our first release of the conserve website in the fall, but you'll get a preview of it at the ESRI conference if you go and you swing by to talk to us there. But basically, we'll know in the spring of 2018 how many people are served within a 10-minute walk in urban America, or in those 14,000 cities and towns within that 10-minute walk. So that's going to be a really powerful tool. People will be able to download maps and statistics and access some of these same tools that we have in Park Score to do that scenario analysis. So now I'm going to switch gears to our ClimateSmart Cities program and how we use GIS to help pinpoint where green infrastructure interventions will have the biggest impacts on climate resilience. And we base this on these 4 strategies. So Connect is all about creating connected, safe, active transportation networks that entice people to get out of their cars and walk or bike to work, or to do the errands they need to run. Cool is all about urban heat islands. So how can we use GIS data and green infrastructure interventions to cool cities down? Absorb is about stormwater. How do we create green infrastructure parks that actually absorb stormwater? And Protect is looking at storm surge and sea level rise, and also riverine flooding in cities across the country. We have 20 partnerships in these cities around the country right now, and we're adding more constantly. And this is our ClimateSmart Cities partnership framework. So really the first step is at the top there. So we want to make sure we have all the right partners at the table. That really starts with mayors of cities. We want to get the mayors on board. The city resilient, they have a chief resiliency officer. We get them on board. We get the parks departments on board. Really try to get a lot of multi-agencies on board in this partnership, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Another key component is research. So we like to work with either local research, universities, or consulting firms or planning firms to help us with figuring out things like this. This is a white paper that we have available on our website at tpl.org. It's called The Benefits of Green Infrastructure and Heat Mitigation and Emissions Reductions in Cities. So we work with these researchers to create applied research that can feed directly into our GIS and planning tools. And we use GIS to actually, again, be very strategic about where these green infrastructure interventions will have the biggest impact based on those 4 overarching strategies. And then implementation. Then we do select those projects and do the implementation on the ground. So our program objective is to help cities identify and integrate levers for green infrastructure. So you can see here, we're really focused on the benefits, multi-benefits of green infrastructure, and bringing in all of the different agencies within the city into this process. So we want to make sure that every park or green infrastructure feature we create leverages the city and the taxpayer dollars by meeting as many co-benefits as possible, and that every agency is at the table and can use the platform in their daily planning work. And we also care a lot about cross-sector integration. So in addition to cities, we bring in partners that are non-traditional and partners like nonprofits like us, so that everyone has a voice at the table, has access to the data and the tools, and can help shape and guide this process. So this is a text-heavy slide, I know, but I wanted to share with you some of the barriers that we found in this work. There is still a lack of access to robust and locally specific scientific information regarding climate change, risk, and solutions in cities. There's a lack of place-based spatial data and identifying investment opportunities. Traditionally siloed operations across agencies, I think we're all really familiar with that. A need for sustainable funding and financing mechanisms for implementation of climate adaptation and resilient solutions, and limited project development capacity, including staff and implementation management resources. So in an effort to overcome these barriers, we started by simply listening to our partners through our ClimateSmart Cities process, really seeking to understand their perspective. It's amazing what you can learn by meeting your partners where they are and understanding how these barriers manifest themselves in the day-to-day operations of planners and decision makers. And equally important is to understand what inspires, motivates, and energizes people. So we interview and survey our partners, and what you see here are some of the questions that we ask, like what do the partners perceive as the drivers of green infrastructure implementation, or the barriers to green infrastructure implementation? And the bigger the circle, that means the most people shared that common response in answering those questions. And so one example, we're working currently in Richmond, California, and we learned that there is limited staff capacity at the city to drive green infrastructure implementation. However, there are numerous community-based organizations that actively and essentially increase the capacity of the city to deliver services. So could that be catalyzed to deliver urban greening projects that advance the neighborhood's goals and meet the city's needs? That's what we're working with Richmond on right now. And we do all this through what we call a discovery process. So this is really, you know, when we bring our partner, or we identify our partnerships, bring them together, this is really the first step in our ClimateSmart Cities work. We've developed a unique and proprietary technology for providing web-based decision support tools on the ESRI platform. Our custom JavaScript and parcel tagging tool enable us to create online portals where users can access the data and model and the modeling that we have assembled, run queries, identify high priority parcels, and generate maps. And most importantly, these are responsive sites, so they're available for people to use on site in the field. And then also these platforms can be password protected, or they can be publicly available. And some of the things that you can do with these websites, some of the functions, you can do site analysis, address searches, parcel selections, great profile reports. You can explore the data. In any given site, we probably have 60 to 80 input data layers that you can explore. And then you know, maybe 20 to 25 modeled results that you can explore as well. You can print your own maps, mark up your own maps, and you can do site selection through our query function. And I'll do a quick little demonstration of that here in just a little bit. So as we have developed partnerships nationally, we've identified the opportunity to think about a broad range of implementation services that align with the outcomes of the ClimateSmart Cities process. And that spans, you can see here across this little arrow, from coalition building, where the energy of the partners involved through the process, and these processes generally last 18 months or so, that energy can be continued through collaboration and sharing of resources amongst the agencies, and also bringing people in along the way. And then using our decision support tools, our GIS tools, and our strong relationships to make the case for collaborative decision making. So we really want to operationalize the data and the tools and the outcomes of the process of the ClimateSmart Cities work that we've done in cities, operationalize that into daily workflows at agencies, NGOs, other partners at all those levels. And then lastly, project development on the ground that really serves environmental and social needs. So a real range of implementation opportunities there. So with that, I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint and I'm going to show you live how these decision support tools work. This is a project we did in Los Angeles, California, and the user comes to a portal page here, so you can click here to get into the decision support tool. There's a description of all the data layers that went into the process, along with detailed methodology, where the data came from, rich metadata. And then there's a user guide for the tool here, and then you can scroll down and read about the Los Angeles ClimateSmart Cities project. So this is the ClimateSmart Cities decision support tool. And this is our JavaScript-based platform that we developed. And the way we have it organized here, you've got your overlay data, so you can look at some of those overlay or input data layers, like LA, Los Angeles Metro already had an active transportation plan, so you can turn on some of the information to see their proposed bike facilities, for example. We've also got green infrastructure and other overlays, so we can look at vacant parcels, brownfields across LA, community gardens, food deserts. So just a lot of rich information to explore. And then cool, so this is back to thinking about our 4 strategies of cool, protect, absorb, and connect. We have information like impervious surfaces across LA, tree canopy cover, average daytime land surface temperatures and other information there. Absorb, a bunch of information about Los Angeles actually has these spreading grounds because they can get a lot of rain and the soils there just don't absorb that well. So they have to create spreading grounds. And then connect. This is interesting because one of the things we've been thinking a lot about is not just connecting people to parks for recreation purposes, but how do we connect job-rich destinations to low-income neighborhoods? You know, really trying to help connect people better to food, to medicine, to job opportunities, and those all get integrated into our ClimateSmart Cities process. And everything that we do through the lens of social justice and equity. So these are all of the different equity data layers that we integrate into our process. And you can see a lot of these come from LA locally, and some of our data, like our demographic data down here, linguistic isolation, comes from our Environmental Protection Agency at the federal level. It's part of their environmental justice screening data. Some data comes from ESRI through their demographic and business analyst products. So a lot of rich information here to explore. Now these are our analysis results. So we do a lot of modeling ourselves. And so I talked about those co-benefits or stacked benefits. You know, where are the places in Los Angeles where you want to really focus in on so that you know you're having the biggest impact with green infrastructure for around these 4 strategies and looking through the lens of social vulnerability. So I'll turn on that layer and you can see here everywhere in dark red and orange, those are the places where you, or dark red would be the places you really should focus in on to have the biggest impact around these different factors. And then under each one of these headings, the cool results, you can also look at where the overall hottest places in the city, basically. And then here, this is protect. So where would you need to focus in on? And obviously some of those are down here along the coastal area in LA for protecting from sea level rise and storm surge. Absorb is all about absorbing storm water. So those dark red and orange areas are where you'd focus for that. And then connect is going to look a little bit different because it's more road and linear based, but these are all the places you would want to focus on for creating those connected corridor, active transportation connected corridors. So, and then social vulnerability, we could turn on those overall results as well. So you could start to really see where when you overlay all of these demographic and other types of social vulnerability data layers, where those bright red areas in the city pop out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the overall LA ClimateSmart Cities stacked priorities. I'm going to zoom in on the map here to an area. And as you really start to zoom in, let's see here, there you go, the parcels will show up. And so one of the things that we do through this process is we tag every single parcel in LA with all of this information that went into the modeling process. So I can click on a parcel and it will tell me who owns that parcel, some information about it, and then it'll tell me how it matched up with the different criteria that we modeled. So it does contain stacked priorities. It is an urban heat island. It does contain priorities for absorbing stormwater. And then we get into some very detailed metrics, like looking at the California environmental screen data, like particulate matters, and gives us actual statistics and data points on all of this different information. And you can also click here on Create Parcel Profile Report, and I already created one of those, and you get a PDF report that shows you the parcel and then shows you in a map and then gives you all that data and information. And down here it shows how we how that parcel ranked with the Cool, Connect, Absorb, Protect priorities. So really rich, detailed amount of information to help cities and partners make decisions, really good decisions about green infrastructure and where we should be focusing those dollars. The other thing that we've included in our tool here is a query ability. So you can, I'll just zoom back out here. So we can create a query, so we can look for all vacant parcels. I'll add that condition that are in a urban heat island, daytime heat island. Add that condition. And you can see all the information here. So connect, maybe parcels that connect low-income communities to job-rich districts. Oops, I ran the query before I added that one. But what that's going to do is it's going to return back a list of all the parcels that matched my question. And what's nice about the query function is that when we go through the modeling process, we're coming to consensus amongst the group and the partners on how we model the data and what the priorities should look like. And with the query function, we know that every organization, agency has their own mission, their own goals that they're striving for. So that query function allows us to create those custom queries that match probably, what our organization is interested in. So this returned a bunch of parcels here. I'll just zoom in that matched my query. You can see all of those highlighted in yellow. I can scroll down here towards the bottom and see the parcels, parcel ID, who owns that. I can export that into a parcel report, which will give me a report on every single one of those parcels. I can export it into a CSV file, or I can go in here and I can click on one of these parcels and get information about that, just like I did with the profile. So that's how the query tool works. And I think that's really, you know, where the rubber hits the road as far as being able to use all of this data and information and these GIS tools to help drive our decisions. And then I wanted to show you this also. You probably heard of story maps. ESRI created story map templates, and these are multimedia web-based templates that allow us to integrate in information, stories, text, videos, you know, all maps, interactive live maps to tell the story about the work that we're doing. So we're also doing a ClimateSmart Cities project in Boston. And as I scroll down here, this is one of the scrolling story maps. It tells the story of that project. Why are we focusing on climate change in Boston? What is the strategy? Talks about our cool connect, absorb, protect. You can watch a video about the process. And then you can come in here, like this is connect, and you can pan and zoom. These maps are live. And then you can also explore stories from people, and people can contribute their own stories to tell us, you know, why is connect important to David? And then it tells why he thinks connect is important in his neighborhood. And then we can look at all of the different maps here and stories. And then at the very end of the story map, we've also got a way for people to get involved. So they can contribute their story, get involved in the next meeting, take action in some way. So that's an example of one of the story maps that we're creating for ClimateSmart Cities. So with that, I think I'm going to pause there and take questions.
Okay, so for the folks, you can hover your mouse and pose questions within the Q&A function. And just while we're waiting, Breece, tell us some more about this proprietary tool you guys have developed.
Yeah, so it's like I mentioned, it's a JavaScript-based tool, but it is an open. We're using what's called CMV, it's configurable mapping technology that's open source. So it's a widget-based technology. So we can create each one of these little, like the query function is a widget, the layers function is a widget. So we are sharing this technology through open data portals and open code portals so that other people can use that. But you know what we found is that our partners really needed specific tools that didn't necessarily exist out there in an already developed canned option. And so we've been developing some of these things along the way and then also sharing them out.
Well, is there a URL for information on that open source tool?
You know what? Specifically on the tool itself, we don't have that up, but okay. We do have like this LA viewer. Some of our viewers, so if I go here and click on the LA portal, you come to this little login screen, and some of our partners want to keep these sites password protected because of sensitivity of data in the site. But some of our sites, you can actually, there's a little link, not on this one, but on other sites where you can click and get access to the tool, and it'll give you a username and password. And Ted, I can send a link to one of those out to you that you could share so people could explore the tool if that's helpful.
Oh, no, that'd be excellent. And, you know, I mean, I don't know whether I mentioned it in the intro, but you actually got a call from the CEO of ESRI when you won an award, Breece?
I did. Jack Dangerman, who is a huge conservationist, really, you know, conservationist at heart, supports nonprofit organizations that are protecting lands, and got a call from Jack in 2012 on a Friday afternoon, asked me if I was going to be at the user conference because he wanted to give us the Making a Difference Award, which was quite an honor, and you know, just really thankful to ESRI for the technology and to Jack for the support that we get.
Well, that's an incredible honor for both you individually and your organization. That's fantastic. And do you have sort of a, I guess what I would call a like best practice sharing through ESRI or with your organization, Breece?
We do. So on our website, tpl.org, we have a page on our planning and GIS services and a video that talks about what we do, and then also case studies. And so that's a good place to get information about what we do. But then ESRI is also featuring a lot of these applications and tools that we're creating through their avenues. So we have a lot of featured story maps through ESRI. We work with the Living Atlas to share like park score data and other data. So there's a really great relationship there, and you can find a lot of our data and information through those ESRI channels as well.
Well, I mean, we haven't got any questions posed to date, but seeing as how we're playing with this technology with someone who really knows how to make technology work, if you were to zero in on that introductory video, Breece, and click on the two dialog boxes about, you know, share HD video and share sound, all the folks, you could actually play that video for the folks.
Oh, you want me to do that right now?
Well, if it isn't that too long a video, sure.
Okay, let me find that.
It's not often that I have someone who's this sophisticated with technology.
You know what, I have the, let me show you the ClimateSmart Cities video is embedded in the story map. I'm going to click on that one.
Oh, okay.
First. I don't know if the sound will come through, so you'll have to tell me.
U.S. population.
Okay, just pause it and then click on the share screen, and just click on the two dialog boxes when you click on share screen.
Pause it. New share?
Yeah, new share.
Oh, computer sound. Got it.
Yes, exactly. And that way folks will be able to hear and see the video.
Okay, here it goes. Tell me if it works.
80% of the U.S. population now lives in cities, and those cities are increasingly at risk due to climate change. Rising sea levels, flooding, and intensifying heat waves are serious threats to city living. But there is something we can do. Bringing nature back into cities lowers carbon emissions and helps keep cities safe from major storm events. And that's what the Trust for Public Land does with its approach to climate-smart cities. We weave nature and natural functions into the built environment by focusing on 4 key aspects of greening. We connect neighborhoods around the city with bike-walk corridors that strengthen communities and lessen pollution from cars. We cool urban air with shade trees and new parks, which minimizes the effects of heat waves and reduces indoor temperatures by as much as 10 degrees. We absorb stormwater runoff and recharge drinking water supplies by building water-smart parks, playgrounds, and green alleys. And we help protect at-risk cities that are vulnerable to climate-driven devastation like hurricanes and flooding by establishing waterfront parks, wetlands, and healthy shorelines. We pinpoint areas of threat and help deliver cutting-edge projects by partnering with city governments and top research universities, bringing our strategy to life. The Trust for Public Land isn't just building parks and protecting land. We're helping create climate-smart cities for generations to come. Visit the Trust for Public Land at tpl.org/services to learn more.
There you go.
Well, that was fantastic, Breece.
So that's an example of, some of we have a lot of videos on our website, and I would really urge your viewers to go and check those out. And a lot of them, talk about not just about the service itself, but about the story of the places that we protect and the people that we're connecting with and the communities that we're helping to make better. And so a lot of great videos on the website to check out.
Well, and I guess in closing, Breece, I would give you the opportunity to impart any kind of overall wisdom that you'd like to impart to government folks within Alberta.
Overall wisdom. Well, I will say that through all the work that we do across the country, whether it's in cities or more rural areas or rural communities, partnerships are key. You know, and like the Trust for Public Land, for example, we have about 320 employees, 25 offices around the country. We do a lot of great work with not a lot of capacity, really, when you look at our impacts. But we can't do this by ourselves. And so partnerships are key. And we have an impact model of doing the work ourselves, supporting others, and inspiring others. And I think, you know, if we can all think about our work that way, you know, what is our niche? What do we do really well? What is the work that we should be doing or leading? What can we do to support others in the work that they're doing? You know, GIS, we're creating tools, we're creating web applications and pushing them out for free for people to use for strategic conservation. But we also want to use our information to tell our stories and to inspire people to act and conserve more lands, you know, especially in America with our political situation now. It's more important than ever that kids, you know, people all over the country understand the benefits of parks and open spaces and our lands, and that we're protecting those. And so, you know, it really takes those partnerships to move these forward. And, you know, as you've seen here, you know, GIS can be a very, very powerful piece of the puzzle for making big impacts on the ground.
Well, Breece, this was an absolutely wonderful presentation. And of course, we'll be posting it right away to our partner's YouTube channel that you can find just by searching for MCCAC. Again, on behalf of all the folks in Alberta, I just want to extend our sincere thanks for this presentation, Breece. It's been wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, Ted, and we'll be in touch.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye.